Hey everyone, welcome to this video. I'm Minxlaura123 and this video is going to be scary, spooky, paranormal themed. So if that is not your kind of thing, then this probably isn't the video for you. Just a little kind of trigger warning there because I mean, it's probably obvious from the title of this video and the thumbnail, but, I just kind of like putting it out there to warn people. Not everybody is into scary, spooky stuff, but, me, personally, I am. I love anything paranormal. I find it so interesting and just scary and spooky. And it's been ever since I was a little girl. I've always been fascinated by the paranormal and things that go bump in the night, things that are a bit different and kind of like unexplainable and scary and spooky. I blame my dad because my dad's also into things like that. So like growing up, I kind of listened to his stories, and he always had lots of like ghost books about and stuff like that. So Daddy, it's your fault that I'm into spooky stuff now. But yeah, basically me and Nathan read a book recently, and it's not often that we both read the same book. By the way, Nathan's my fiance, if you didn't know. But yeah, we've both read this book, and basically I only normally read fiction books, but I vowed at the beginning of the year that I wanted to read non-fiction as well. Like throughout the year, like once a month, I want to kind of read a non-fiction as well as my other kind of fiction books, right? So I thought, what kind of subject could I read that I'm actually interested in that's, non-fiction? And I thought, oh, paranormal, spooky stuff. So anyway, we have both read this book. We both really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's called Ghosts and the Paranormal: From the Tower of London to Amityville, Look Inside to Explore the World's Most Haunted Locations. Blood-curdling stories from the other side. I do like this book, but the only thing that really, really freaks me out are the eyes there. Looking into your soul. But it's really good. I think I originally got it from the works or something, but yeah, it's really, really good. So what we've done, we had a little chat about the book, me and Nathan, and we've basically got a little list here on my notebook of like places and subjects and stuff that we like the best, that we found the most, scary to read about and interesting and stuff. So I've put down the page numbers. I've got Nathan's list and my list. So yeah, I'm going to try and get as many kind of pages done as I can for you. So as I say, once again, reading from this book here, which is Ghosts and the Paranormal. It's made by Igloo books. So if you do want to grab yourself a copy, I don't know, there's probably one available online somewhere. I got this quite a while ago. So right, I'm just going to pop my glasses on. By the way, in the comment section down below, please answer a few questions for me. First question, do you believe in ghosts? Second question, have you ever seen anything, ghosty? And also, out of these, stories kind of thing that I'm going to tell you, what one do you find the most scary? So yeah, just chill, relax, and listen to some ghost stories. Right, okay, the glasses are going on, which means business. Also, let me know, sorry, I thought of another question. Do you watch any like paranormal themed TV shows? If so, what shows? We love watching spooky shows. I think our favourite at the moment, for many years it was Ghost Adventures, but now it's actually Destination Fear. It's brilliant. You've got Alex, you've got Tanner, you've got Chelsea, Dakota, and they're just, they're really fun to watch. And also, obviously, they get really good paranormal evidence. It's on Discovery Plus. Obviously, yeah, still loving Ghost Adventures because, come on, Ghost Adventures, like, it's just amazing. But yeah, Destination Fear is kind of top the list now of our favourites. Also here on YouTube, we love watching Nuke's Top 5, Slapped Ham. Like, there's so much paranormal stuff out there to watch. Right, okay, so the first page I'm going to go to is page 10, which is one of Nathan's selections, and it's Berkeley Square. So let me find the page. Now, I will say in advance, if I make any mistakes with my pronunciations, or if I'm reading out aloud and I get a bit like blah, 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 tongue-tied, I apologise. I don't know what it is, but whenever I'm on camera and I try and read from a book or wherever I'm reading from, I always make mistakes. So just kind of putting it out there. You can laugh at me if I make mistakes. It's absolutely fine. So yeah, this is number 50, Berkeley Square, London. So it says Berkeley Square in London's Mayfair is one of the capital's smartest addresses, yet one of the houses in this beautiful square has the reputation of being the most haunted house in London. So me and Nathan have actually seen like ghosty shows where they featured this place, and you can, like, even just from the TV, like, you can pick up that kind of really scary vibe. So it says, in the early 19th century, 50 Berkeley Square was the home of British Prime Minister George Canning. Later in the mid-19th century, Mr. Myers moved in and happily prepared the house to receive his bride after their wedding. But she jilted him at the last minute. Oh no. Heartbroken, Myers retreated to the top floor of the house where he lived the life of a recluse in a very tiny attic room. He never went out and only opened the door to receive food from one servant. At night, however, he wandered the house with a single candle, and passers-by in the street were terrified to see this pale light flickering through the decaying mansion. And so the stories began. Just having a look at it. So it says, after Myers died, the terrifying stories about the house began to multiply. Lord, I think that's Littleton, anyway, he's a lord, anyway, offered to spend the night in the supposedly haunted attic room with 2 hunting guns. On seeing a ghostly apparition, he fired at one of them, but in the morning, only a bullet hole remained. A man then moved in with his 2 daughters. When the fiancé of one of the girls, Captain Kentfield, was coming to stay, a maid went to prepare his attic room. Her terrified screams rang through the house, and she was found muttering, "Don't let it touch me." Oh my. The stricken maid never recovered and died the next day. There are other bits and pieces, but obviously I want to get onto the other pages. But yeah, as I say, I've seen about this place. Feel free, by the way, if you are interested in paranormal, to Google these places up and find out more about them. I'm sure there's loads of like videos about individual, you know, accounts and places as well. But yeah, that is 50 Berkeley Square. The next one Nathan has chose is on page 15. And it's actually based where we are, here in Essex. I love Essex. I think people know I'm very proud to be an Essex girl. And no, I don't own a pair of white stilettos. Or do I? No, I don't. I couldn't walk in them. So this one is Borley Rectory. There is something about rectories and their long histories that make them intriguing buildings. This one in East England takes the prize as the creepiest of them all, and for a long time it enjoyed the chilling distinction of being called the most haunted house in England. So it says, the small village of Borley lies just on the Essex side of the Essex-Suffolk border. The rectory was built back in 1863, but centuries earlier there had been a monastery on that site, and it was there that the troubles began. One of the monks is said to have fallen in love with a nun from the local nunnery. They planned to run away together and abandoning their religious vows, but they were caught. Oopsie. The penalty for their love was death, and a very grim one at that. The monk was hanged in the monastery while the nun was sealed up alive in its walls. Oh my God, that is so horrible. In the 19th century, she was seen many times walking desperately through the grounds of the rectory, searching for her lover. So creepy. There is, as I say, I'm not going to read like every single bit about each place because we'll be here forever, but there are other things about this place. I know there was a fire as well and stuff. Also, what I really like about this book is there's like these little, I'll show you there's these little interesting fact things. So let me quickly have a look at this one. It says, during the fire that finally destroyed Borley Rectory, so yeah, it's not there anymore, there's a fire, an onlooker saw the face of a nun gazing from a window. I mean, come on. That is scary. But yeah, just the thought of like, oh, it's just horrible. It's really horrible. Right, okay, so the next one we're going to go to is, let's have a look. Oh, Nathan has put here, you will get to some of mine soon, I promise. He has gone for Tower of London. Now, me and Nathan have been to the Tower of London quite a few times, and it's just a spectacular place. You know, if you're ever in England or if you're from England, honestly, go and do the touristy things and visit the Tower of London. Put that on your list. It is such an amazing place. Like, there's so much history there, and it's got a real like energy about it. And as you walk around and you think of all the stuff that went on there, and just like, oh my God, it really does give you the feels. It's an amazing place, but it's also very haunted. So Tower of London obviously is in London, in England. So many tragic events have happened at the Tower of London that it would be strange if this medieval fortress on the banks of the River Thames was not haunted. It is definitely haunted, come on. For centuries it was the city's strongest and most terrible prison. Countless individuals spent their last weeks and hours in its confines, awaiting their violent and horrible deaths. Yeah, I mean, there's just been so many ghosts spotted here. It's absolutely ridiculous, you know. just you know, thinking of all the people who have suffered there and all that energy, like it's just and the fact that it's such an old building and it's, well, you know, it's just yeah. So go to the Tower of London. It is creepy. It says here, interesting fact, Margaret Pole, Countess of Salisbury, was sent to the block in 1541. She escaped and ran round the Tower Green until the executioner caught her and cut off her head. It's so horrible. It's a very kind of bloody, gory kind of place as well. So no wonder why it's haunted. Okay, so the next place Nathan has got on his list is Dover Castle. Now, Dover Castle I've not been to, but Nathan has. His family once lived in, or near Dover, so he visited. So it's in Kent, and it says here, Dover Castle stands proud and magnificent on the south coast of England, looking out across the Channel towards France. In its 800-year history, it has stood as a great bastion, a vital defence fortress against an array of enemies. No wonder then that it is home to so many appearances of the paranormal. It played an important role in the Second World War, a labyrinth of underground tunnels that were used for planning evacuations of thousands of Allied soldiers from Dunkirk, and as a command centre for the Army, Navy, Air Force. The ghosts of servicemen have often been seen in recent decades, some of them walking through solid doors. Oh my God. The area is filled with sounds of banging doors, as if the urgent and tragic business of war was still being conducted. Oh my God, it's just, yeah. Oh, it says, upstairs in the king's bedroom, the lower half of a man floats through the walls. Whew, who knows why this poor soul has only half a body. So for me, like, I am claustrophobic, and I just, tunnels, it's not happening. It's just not happening. Not happening. Okay, so the next one, let's do one of mine. Nathan's had loads. I want one of mine. Right, have I got Stonehenge here? Yeah, so Stonehenge. If hauntings and paranormal events are most likely to take place in locations with a long history, then Stonehenge must surely be one of the most haunted places on earth. I have never been there. It's one of my things, like places that I would actually really like to go. I think it's just so like mystical and magical and just, yeah, a bit creepy. So it's somewhere I definitely want to go at some point. It says this circle of massive stones set on the open plains of Wiltshire dates back between 4,000 and 5,000 years. Its whole existence is suffused with mystery. We do not know for certain why it was erected. Like, yeah, what is the purpose of it? I mean, there are obviously you know, things of that, you know, it could be aliens, it could be or paranormal, we don't know. Was it a burial ground or a place of worship? Was it a place of healing? Now, there was a story I read about something that happened. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So in the summer of 2017, a group of researchers were investigating the appearance of crop circles on land nearby. As they filmed a huge field, a mysterious figure appeared, standing in the middle of the tall wheat. There it stood for 20 minutes without moving, but when they turned the camera away from it, towards the edge of the field, the figure then disappeared. In such a large field, a person could not have run away out of sight in time it took to bring the camera back to the same spot. A much more scary story dates back from August 1971, when the stones of Stonehenge were still open to all. A group of people decided to pitch their tents for the night amongst the stones, and in the middle of the night a thunderstorm blew in and lightning struck the stones. A farmer and a policeman in the area reported seeing an eerie blue light around the stone circle, one so bright they had to look away from it. They heard wild screaming from the campers and ran to find out what was happening. But yes, you've guessed it, when they arrived, they were shocked to the core. That's what Nuke's Top 5 says. Hey, Nuke, shocked to the core. Did you see it? Sorry, that's what he says as well. They were shocked to the core. The campers had completely vanished, tents and all, and there was no trace of them ever found. Alien abduction, maybe? I don't know. It's a weird place, and it's a place that I would definitely love to go to. Okay, what have we got here? I'm looking for... Where's that? There's so much in here. Now this has to be one of Oh my God, literally, because we watch so many paranormal shows, as I say, I know of a lot of these. Not all of them, but a lot of these in the book I knew a bit about. Reading the book obviously helped me to find out more about it. But this place, I would say, is my idea of kind of like heaven and hell at the same time. It's the island of the dolls. It's in Mexico. I am a big kid, I love dolls. I collect dolls, teddy bears. So for me, walking around and just seeing loads of like dolls is kind of like heaven, as I say. But the flip side of it is that they move and they're supposed to be possessed, and that's pretty damn scary, imagining the dolls all kind of coming alive at night. So yeah, we've seen so many shows about this. Just south of Mexico lies an island, a sad and creepy place which today is visited by hundreds of travellers, but which was never intended to be a tourist destination. This is the island of the dolls. Okay, so it says back in 1950s, a young man named Julian Santana Barrera, have I said that right? No, hold on, let me say that again. Julian Santana Barrera. Anyway, I've tried my best. Left his wife and young family and moved to the small island to be a recluse. He was unaware of the tragedy that had taken place there, but he soon came to know of it all too well. Stories vary, but one describes how, in the 1920s, 3 young girls had been playing at the water's edge. One of them fell in and drowned. Locals claim that ever since that day, the spirit of this young girl had remained on the island, unable to find her peace. They refused to set foot there after dark. Julian, however, soon found that the young spirit began talking to him. She told him what happened and appeared to be trapped in the place of her death. One day, Julian found an old doll floating in the water. He knew it must have belonged to the lost girl and hung it up to appease her spirit. The haunting intensified, however, becoming ever more relentless, so Julian brought more dolls, selling the food he managed to grow in an attempt to ease the troubled spirit's way to peace. After many years, the island was covered, and it is literally, if you've seen videos, pictures, it is literally covered with dolls hanging from every tree. Julian felt the spirit of this tragic figure possessed the dolls themselves. He told his nephew that she was becoming harder to appease, and he feared that she wanted him to join her on the other side. A short time later, Julian was found dead, floating face down in the water in exactly the same place where the girl had died so many years before. Today, the island is a terrifying place. The eyes of hundreds of dismembered dolls seems to follow you around, and some visitors have heard them whispering, especially after dark. There are also reports that Julian's ghost wanders the island too, still unable to leave the girl he tried so hard to save. We have just seen so many shows about it, and a lot of our kind of paranormal shows that we watch have done investigations there. They have caught amazing evidence. What was the one? I think it was Josh Gates' show, and he does it with 2 other people, like a girl and a guy, who are both really beautiful and look like they're from Hollywood. I can't remember. Oh, Explanation. Anyway, I don't know. Destination Unknown. I don't know. But anyway, so they went there, and oh my God, the evidence that they got was amazing. So honestly, look it up. Island of the Dolls. Creepy as you like. Next up, we are going to the US of A. This is the RMS Queen Mary. Also, we've seen this many times on paranormal shows. In her time, the RMS Queen Mary was one of the most luxurious liners in the world. The ship, launched in 1936, transported world leaders, Hollywood stars and royalty across the ocean between the US and England. However, some on board refused to leave even after death. A young crewman called John Henry met his end in a horrifying ordeal on board the Queen Mary. He worked in engine room 13, where one day a fire broke out, and as he tried to flee, he was crushed to death. Ever since, there have been reports of knocks and bright lights in engine room 13, even screams and smoke from it. Sometimes the door is too hot to touch, and it actually burns your fingers. There's so many other things as well, but what a creepy place. I think you can go on it for you can hire it out and do ghost tours on it, I think. That's, I've seen it on TV and stuff. Right, the next one, I think me and Nathan both chose this one. Some of them we kind of chose together, and this is St. Augustine's Lighthouse. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a little bit of a lighthouse geek. I love the imagery of a lighthouse. It's very, aesthetically pleasing. I've never been to a lighthouse, by the way. Just really like the look of them. Anyhow, a random fact for you. My picture on my phone, like my screensaver thing, is actually a lighthouse. It's like a little red and white lighthouse. Anyway, so this is in Florida, the southern states of the US, and Augustine's lighthouse began guiding ships at sea away from treacherous rocks back in 1874. Today, the lighthouse and the keeper's house attract visitors rather than ships, and all because of the ghostly history. This is the thing, though, I'm thinking with all these places that I'm talking about, and obviously are in the book, that we know of, like, you know, once upon a time they were just a normal place, and now they're like, you know, a hot spot for all these people like me who are into the paranormal and want to investigate or just want to kind of get a feel for it, look around. So yeah, okay, so I'm looking for spooky stuff. Other mysteries, hold on, have attracted attention and anxiety in the lighthouse. The staff lock the door carefully every night. Yet frequently they find it open in the morning. Furniture moves to new positions. Oh, this is what's creepy. Music boxes begin to play. There's always something for me really creepy about when they do like investigations and they use like a music box and it just starts playing on its own. It's like, oh. The temperature has been known to plummet in certain areas and figures appear only to vanish in the blink of an eye. The ships at sea may be safe, but anyone visiting this profoundly haunted place must feel anything but that. So, yeah. Okay, right. Where are we? Just looking at my notes, seeing what I got. Oh, okay, so this is about Lincoln. So Lincoln in the White House, there he is. I find this really interesting, this one, especially when they mention Churchill. So anyway, so it says the White House in Washington, D.C. is the official home of the President of the United States of America. Over the centuries, presidents have come and gone, except that some of them clearly have not gone that far. Ghostly sightings of the building's previous residents have been surprisingly frequent, to the point where some visitors have asked to be moved, and many recent presidents have described feeling the presence of their predecessors. I would love it if, like, the White House would, you know, let there be an investigation in there, like paranormal investigation crew. Clearly it's never going to happen because of, you know, it's the White House, but how good would it be though? Come on, I bet they'd get loads of evidence. So the one I'm going to tell you about is about Churchill. Hold on, let me read this bit. Oh, here we go. It was the Lincoln bedroom, however, that he seemed to... Oh, one night during the war, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill was staying at the White House in the Lincoln bedroom. So he liked to have a long hot bath before bed. And on this night, he climbed out of the bath and walked naked, into the bedroom. There he saw the figure of Lincoln standing by the fireplace. With only a moment's hesitation, Churchill spoke, "Good evening, Mr. President. You seem to have what? I'm trying so hard to do Winston's voice, I can't talk. Good evening, Mr. President. You seem to have me at disadvantage." Basically, he's seen him naked, all right? The ghostly figure smiled softly at him and disappeared. Had the old leader come back to comfort and support the modern man in another time of war and strain? Whatever was happening, despite his extraordinarily calm and witty response to the apparition, Churchill did ask to be moved to another room. So, you know, to me, like, you know, obviously we've known from history, I don't know, I don't feel like Churchill would be the kind to kind of make that story up. What would be the purpose, and also the fact that he like moved rooms as well. But I can just imagine him like just, that sounds really creepy, but like imagine him naked, just got out of the bath, and then Lincoln's just there, and he's like, "Oh, hello, you seem to have found me at a disadvantage." Anyway, right, let's get that out of the way. Also in here, I'm not going to go into it because there's so many tales of stories of that. The London Underground system in England, creepy as hell, haunted as anything. You know, when I was a kid, my mum used to take me on the Underground all the time, and you just feel this coldness. It's just a really creepy, cold energy. And whenever you kind of whizzing through that tunnel, it's just, oh, I used to be terrified. And to be fair, I still am. But like when I was a kid, oh my God, it was like, she'd be like, "Oh, we're going to go on the tube today." And I was like, no. Even as a small child, I just had this complete fear. So yeah, there's loads in here. I mean, there's an actual book we've got upstairs, which is just about London Underground, like stations that have had so many like haunted happenings over the years, accounts. But Anyhow, I just wanted to mention that. Next up, we're going to go to Disneyland. This should be the place of fun, but Disneyland has more ghost stories associated with it than any other tourist attraction in the US. So I suppose, you know, you think of Disneyland of just being really, you know, fun and childish and just lovely and sweet, but aside that is also lots of dark, scary hauntings. I mean, you know, if you're going to be a ghost and you're into Disney, it's a good place to haunt, I suppose. You know, like most people are, oh, you know, ghosts haunt graveyards, but as we've always said, what would be the fun in that? That'd be so boring just walking around, you know, it's a graveyard. But Disneyland, you know, for me personally, I would haunt a library or a bookshop, being a bookworm. Where would you haunt? That's a question for you as well. If you were a ghost, where would you haunt and why? So I'm going to talk about this one here. It says, one night, an employee working in the loading area of the mansion saw a man in a suit who was holding a cane in his hand. He was sitting in one of the doom buggies that goes around the house. When the employee tried to speak to him, there was no reply, and slowly the apparition faded to nothingness. Also, I read about, I can't find it this second, but there was something about this woman who asked to bury, dog barking next door. I was like, she asked to, like, have her son's ashes, not buried, but, you know, put down. And she was refused, but she still went along and you know, after hours probably, put the remains down of her son. And then, yeah, there was lots of paranormal activity around the area and stuff. So, it says here, a man in a tuxedo. He's quite a popular spirit. He gets seen quite a lot. And apparently Walt Disney himself haunts Disneyland, his old apartment above the fire station on Main Street. So there we go. Now this one I chose. This is the Hellfire Caves. Look at that picture. Oh my. Looks like me when I wake up in the morning. Laura, wake up. Oh, do I have to? Anyway, right, so Hellfire Caves in England. The mysterious complex of caves is in Buckinghamshire, England, was commissioned by local aristocrat Sir Francis Dashwood in 1752. It says here, caves can be creepy at the best of times. No, caves are creepy all the time, right? But this place has seen some very serious haunting. I think this is where they used to do all their the secret society stuff, wasn't it? Deep underground, a long winding passage leads to a chamber known as the banqueting hall, onto the inner temple. This was where Sir Francis wanted to hold meetings with his friends, the Hellfire Club. Wild sessions of drinking and debauchery combined with rituals celebrating the occult. Yeah. Hold on, I'm just... In a macabre pact, the poet, who was one member of the club was Paul Whitehead, a famous poet of the day. In a macabre fact, the poet asked Sir Francis that his heart be cut out after his death and placed in an urn in the caves. And when his friend died, Sir Francis obliged, and then the urn remained there for many years. Paul Whitehead, however, could not rest at peace without his heart, it seems, because his ghost had been seen wandering through the Hellfire Caves looking for it for all eternity. Yeah, it's a very, once again, another place I've always, you know, seen on lots of paranormal shows, and it just looks creepy as anything. This is the Stockholm Ghost Train. This one here. This is one of the where is this? Hold on. This is a Raynham Hall in Norfolk. The Lady in Brown. This is one of the most famous ghost pictures that's ever been seen. And you can definitely say, anyone who says that doesn't look ghosty, come on. I mean, yeah, it could be a trick of the light or something, if we're being honest, but come on, that does look like the shape of the woman, like the head there, and like the dress maybe draping down on the stairwell. It is really, really creepy. Yeah, the Lady in Brown. Apparently there was a novelist, Captain Frederick Marriott, shot at the ghostly apparition of the Lady in Brown, but the bullet passed straight through her. So, yeah. Right, let's do a few more, and then I will shut up, because I don't want you to get really bored. This one, out of all this book, this is the story that really, I don't know why it kind of just stuck with me. Even now, I can still, like, creep myself out thinking about it. This is called The Phantom Hitchhiker. So this story isn't about an actual, like, famous haunted location, but more so an actual, well, ghost and what happened. So anyway, today hitchhikers are not a common sight, but a few decades ago it was quite usual to see young people standing by the side of the road, thumbs up, hoping to get a free ride. Some drivers who picked up these strangers got far more than they bargained for. So this is the story. It says a young man was driving one night when he saw a young woman standing by the side of the road looking cold. He pulled up beside her, opened the door and let her in. She looked so chilled that he offered her his white jumper to help her warm up. She told him her car had swerved off the road and she needed to get back to her parents' house. It was then that he noticed that her face and hands were covered in scratches. They drove for a few miles to the end of a lane where there was a house whose lights were shining out into the night. This was the place, she told him, as she got out of the car, thanking him. A few days later, the driver remembered that the girl had left wearing the jumper that he'd loaned her. He retracted his journey and found the lane leading up to her parents' house. Knocking on the door, he was met by an elderly couple. They invited him in, and there on the shelf was a photograph of the young woman he had met a few days earlier. He was astonished, though, to hear that their 19-year-old daughter had been killed 40 years ago in a car accident on her way home one night. The young man could not believe that his passenger had not been a living and breathing person. She had seemed so very real, and as he drove slowly past the nearby cemetery, however, his eye was caught by something flapping in the wind. He felt compelled to stop the car, get out. I've got the chills again. Every time I think of this story, I get the chills. He felt compelled to stop the car, get out and investigate. As he approached the object, he was appalled to realise that this was his jumper, the one that he had given to the chilly passenger. It was draped over the headstone of a 19-year-old local girl who had tragically died 40 years before. It says here, interesting fact that vanishing hitchhiker stories are said to predict future events, including natural disasters and the end of a war. I mean, yeah, there's so many, kind of stories about hitchhikers and they get in and then they've gone. And yeah, it's a common spooky thing. But yeah, this book, as I say, is so good. It's filled with so many different bits and pieces. And as I say, some of the stuff I knew about, some of the stuff, I didn't. They've got about Elisa Lam in here, which is, I think, one of the most, messed up cases ever. You're sitting there and you think, how did this happen? How did that happen? Will we ever find out what happened to her? It was absolutely terrible and just bizarre. It says here, enough to give you nightmares, definitely. But yeah, so there we go. I mean, if you would like me to read some other stories and stuff from this book, I would definitely do that. I just didn't want to bore you and sort of talk too long. But yeah, please let me know in the comments if you do want to hear some more from that book. Also, as I say, we've got the London Underground I think it's the Haunted Underground or something book. If you want me to read from that, I'm quite happy to do that. But yeah, let me know, as I say, the answers to the questions I give you, spooky stuff. Our house is very haunted. I've said this before many a time, and there's so many things that have happened in this house, and I genuinely don't feel like it's a negative vibe here. I do think it's either my family or people who used to live here, or maybe just a ghost that thinks, yeah, I like this house, I'll live here, kind of. So I never feel anything dark. They've never been really, really horrible, but I do think sometimes they're a little bit too mischievous. They'll hide things, they'll move things, or they'll make really loud sounds and scare the hell out of me, and but I think that's just to kind of get a reaction, or to be, as I say, a bit mischievous. But yeah, I think really quickly before I go, I think the thing we've done recently has been so good. We like to do little personal ghost hunts in the house from time to time when we're not too scared. What we've been doing recently, have you ever heard of a game called Ludo? It's a very old school board game called Ludo. And you basically get these little circles, there's little counters in there, and you go around the board with a dice and, you see who wins and stuff, right? So this Ludo board game, me and my granddad and grandma, mum and dad, used to play when I was really, really small, and we kept the Ludo. After they passed away, it kind of become ours. We've kept it. So not only is it a fun kind of memory of a game we used to play, but also it's something that belonged to them. So it's got a lot of their kind of, emotion in it, I suppose, because of the fun we used to have whilst playing with it. Anyway, so recently over Christmas, me and Nathan were playing some different board games and stuffs, and we played Ludo, and I was like, oh, let's paranormal idea. Let's experiment. We'll leave the Ludo board out all night. Obviously, we're up in bed. And we'll put these circle counters in the circle, on the board. So we put some counters out. We put them exactly in the circles. And we took a photo just to prove that everything was in place. We went up to bed, and before we did, we kind of said, look, spirits, especially to like my family, if you're here and you want to play and show us that you're here, move one of the circles or, the counters out of the circles, or move a few, or move the dice, whatever. Just move something so we know that you've interacted with the board, right? So we didn't think any more about it, went up to bed, and I thought it's probably nothing's going to happen. Anyway, I come down in the morning really early because I thought about it. I thought, I wonder if anything happened. I wonder if it moved. We didn't have a camera going or anything like that. It was literally just let them do it if they want to do it, right? I come down really early. My mum was still in bed. She hadn't moved, and, she was asleep. Nathan was still asleep. So literally downstairs had been, on its own as such all night. No one down here. And I kid you not, I swear, one of the red counters had moved out of the circle. And not just a tiny bit, either quite a bit out of the circle. And I, quite naughty, I just ran up the stairs. I was waking Nathan up early going, it's moved. It's like, I'm asleep. I'm like, get up. There's been a ghost. I don't know what he was going to do in the morning, and there's nothing he could do. But it was so amazing to get that evidence. And, we done it again like a couple of nights later, and another counter moved, like a different colour. I think it was green, if I remember. Yeah, so I think the green counter moved, not as much, but you could clearly see it moved away from this kind of circle shape that we placed the counter in. And so we were kind of tempted, do we put a camera out? Do we leave the night vision camera on all night pointed at the board? But then we think, well, what is the point? Like, yeah, all right, we'd get evidence. But number one, the spirits might not want to be filmed and on camera doing stuff. And number two, like, why do we need it? We know, we've seen the physical evidence that it's moved. No one could have moved it. Why do we need to take, unless I'm thinking of uploading it on here or whatever, which I wasn't. We know for ourselves. And I think that's the same with a lot of paranormal stuff that happens in the house. You do kind of get that thing of, oh, quick, we've seen something, we've heard something, should we go and get the tape recorder, see if we can get any EVPs, or should we get the camera, see if I can film it? But then you think, well, no, I've experienced it myself. Not everything's about being filmed and photos. Sometimes it's, for paranormal stuff, it's about, the experience that you get yourself, that you feel yourself. And yeah, there's been some spooky stuff. Nathan's seen stuff, apparitions. I mean, full body apparitions. I've seen stuff, heard stuff. It's just unexplainable things that happen. And for me, like, anyone who says they don't believe in the paranormal and it's all load of rubbish and blah blah blah, okay, everyone's entitled to their own views. Like, I never knock anyone. Like, we're all entitled to our views and stuff, yeah. But like, for me personally, the things I've seen, heard, felt, witnessed, things touching my hair, there's so much that I cannot, it's got to be real, basically. There's got to be ghosts. There's got to be life after death. There's something. There's energy. There's still so much to learn. Why do we sometimes see them full-bodied? Sometimes they're shadowed. Sometimes, orbs. Sometimes you don't see anything, but you hear it or you feel it. It's so much to look into. And I just hope one day there will be, 100 billion million % physical evidence of it. But for now, I think, they're doing as best they can, people, to prove that it's out there and there is, spirits and stuff. So I just find it all really fascinating, yet very scary at the same time. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now and go and make myself a nice cup of tea. Thank you so much for watching, and I'd love to read your comments, so please interact with me, get involved. Don't forget, I do have another channel, MinxLaura123 ASMR. The link is down below for that. I do videos to help people relax, sleep, chill, get tingles, nice and calm. So go and watch my other channel as well. That'd be great. Also, social media links down below: Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads, TikTok. So yeah, all down below, all the links that you will need. And if you do want to spoil me, oh yeah, I do have a throne wish list. So there's things on there for me, there's things on there for Nathan. I've even got Wilma, our goldfish. She's got flakes of food that she has. She's got them on the wish list. So treat one of us. It's all nice. All right, everyone, listen, take care of yourself, stay spooky, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Mwah. Please subscribe, leave a thumbs up. Bye.